as an educator, and I've shared my story with hundreds of students, medical staff, family, and friends in an effort to better understand and to help others understand what it's like to live with mental illness. I've helped hundreds of people find services in the state, and I've run numerous training programs for other families and caregivers for those afflicted by various mental health issues with other state agencies. But my biggest accomplishment is that I can stand before you tonight as a mother to a bright, healthy 21-month-old baby girl named Sophia. She's my compass, and she is fierce. Some of you may be thinking, great lady, I have kids too. But I was told that motherhood was not a possibility, it was never going to happen, and that it was something that I should not entertain and needed to forget about. A doctor, a psychiatrist who I had admired and trusted during one of our sessions had told me that I needed to forget it. He needed to kill the goal of me having a family so that I could focus on caring for myself, so that I would not become a statistic. I was his priority. And I recognized this. I was being honest. He was being honest. During a time I was taking several medications to prevent another hospitalization or psychotic break. A pregnancy during this time would result in a significant loss. I am diagnosed with having bipolar disorder. I live with mental illness, and I needed protection. I'm grateful that that was what I had found. And I was able to become an advocate for myself along the way. I received my diagnosis at the age of 16. During a time when most seniors in high school are researching for their college careers and celebrating their summers, I was in a locked ward for psychiatric patients. My symptoms started off gradually that summer and progressed over several weeks. They went almost undetected at first because it appeared to be teenage angst, and my parents were struggling with their own life issues, finances, mortgages, payments, a new child, an adolescent who was being bullied, and what appeared to be a teenage rebel. They were overwhelmed, and I can't say that I blame them. They are human, aren't we all? It was a perfect recipe for disaster, and I was the perfect storm. I had started requiring less sleep, and I was averaging between 1 to 2 hours a night, but I would stay up for as many as 72 hours. My mind was racing constantly. I had boundless energy. I no longer felt hungry. I'd always been a very healthy eater, but now I was not eating. I lost 15 pounds quickly. My eyes became sunken in, but I felt great. I'd walk the streets for hours until I could knock on friends' windows and doors without being yelled at by their parents, and I'd ramble. My speech had become very erratic, and I often spoke about communicating with God through my pet. It wasn't making sense anymore. My friends knew something was obviously wrong, but didn't know what or how to help me. Some of them stopped coming by, and it was difficult to relate to me, and I knew they were afraid of and for me. My symptoms eventually escalated, giving way to an emergency opportunity for my parents to have me seen by a doctor. It led to my diagnosis, and I received the proper treatment and my first hospitalization, and it was a relief. After my diagnosis, I lived in fear for many years, shying away from the illness, from friends, and from some family, and I let the stigma really run my life. Until I took my power back, I got clear about what it meant to live with mental illness, and I realized what it meant for me to have bipolar disorder. Sometimes I am still afraid, but the world is full of what-ifs, and I'm learning, as hard as it may be, to live in the moment. I was in recovery, symptom-free, for 12 years and did not require rehospitalization. Then in 2008, I took a job working third shift. This caused me to almost immediately become symptomatic, and for the first time ever, I disclosed to an employer my diagnosis. I was terminated that very same day. The breakdown was so severe that it led to a troubling divorce. With the threat of homelessness, I opted for the support of hospitalization. It was the first for me in 12 years, and it shattered my self-esteem, but built my confidence in other ways unimaginable. I left that hospital forever changed. Within 2 years, I had worked myself from being divorced, broken, and homeless to having saved enough money to purchase my own house. Sometimes I feel that the higher that I climb, the further it is that I fall. I have not required rehospitalization since 2008, but I have had many recurring symptoms of the illness. During extreme stress, I may hallucinate and hear music or perceive my reality in a way that is harmful to me. My closest relationships are constantly being tested for this reason. There have been times when I have been completely incapacitated by my depression and or anxiety, and I have stayed in my house without leaving for weeks at a time. This is an illness that can become isolating and destructive if you allow it. I often check in with friends and family these days, and I keep an open mind. And sure, I've fallen, but I've gotten up more times, and that is what's important. This illness has taken so much from me, but with everything that it takes, it leaves something more tangible behind in its wake. I know how to create relationships with my family. And though it is often tested, I have doctors that I work closely with as well to ensure my wellness. I'm grateful today. I didn't think I could do this, and maybe my life had to be this hard so that I had the proof of how strong I can be for my daughter, because I wouldn't have believed anyone else otherwise. Now I have a responsibility to teach her. The treatment that has best served me has not always been just medication, though I have needed it to help maintain health and stability. It has been being a part of the family and helping others that has given me my life meaning, and been the most integral part of my treatment plan. I also believe that diet and exercise are fundamental components for maintaining health. Not only mental health, but the quality of all health. I've always advocated for myself, and I felt as though something was not working or I could work better, I would try whatever it was to be proactive in maintaining my wellness, and I continue to do that. My destination is not that does not matter, because the path to get there is on this road of life, which is moving forward. I was asked to speak a little bit about what life for my family, for a loved one who lives with this brain disorder, has been like, and I could never imagine how difficult it may be for friends and family during the times when my symptoms were at their worst. So I asked my sister to write this, and I'll share it with you. Loving someone who has mental illness can be extremely complicated and emotional tug of war. When times are tough, the illness has its way. Anger makes it difficult to separate the person from their actions, from their illness. Pain causes a blindness to cover one's heart. You simply can't see beyond all of the chaos that is being created in front of you, and in turn that blindness keeps you from having empathy for the person who is creating it. Fear makes you feel scared and alone when you stare into the eyes of someone you have loved since the time you could feel love, and yet all you see is someone you do not know staring back at you. Frustration and guilt have their way with you, because as much as you want to be supportive to your loved one, you struggle with being close to them. Because after all, how does one become close to a person when that person is someone whom you never want to spend time with, simply because it's miserable to be around them? These emotions are some of the hardest I've dealt with in my life. However, it is only the emotions we experience in the hardest of times that let us have true appreciation for the emotions we have during the beautiful times, the times that come so easy, when your loved one is at their best, when their illness is, what illness? Gratitude is the gift that keeps on giving, when you know that a person might not be as healthy tomorrow as they are right now. It makes you truly treasure genuine quality time, sharing happy moments with the person you know, like, and love. Having heart-to-heart discussions, give and take, not just words of appeasement. Admiration and pride, looking at your loved one and knowing that they don't have only to deal with all of the crazy stresses of society. They have to fight a daily battle with their own brain just to sustain being a part of society. And yet here they are, still standing, moving forward, fighting for their lives. It's a remarkable feeling of pride to stand here with such a warrior. I feel inspired to be stronger, to fight harder through my own personal journey. My sister can live through all that she has endured, yet still pick her head up with that pillow each day and push to do better, to be better, not just for herself, but for her child, then I can too. Enlightenment, the simple knowledge she has given me just by knowing her. Wow. Insight into the human brain and into mental illness, into minds and plights of people like her who have walked where she has walked and lived where she has lived. That is the priceless perspective that I have been given. Has helped to create the empathetic, understanding person that I am today. So the way mental illness has affected my relationship with my sister is simply this. As much stress and pain and anguish as it has caused me, it has benefited me in many ways that would have never happened had she not had this affliction. I truly believe that everything happens for a reason in life, the good and the bad, so I stand here today proud of my sister. She is strong and she is real. She's a true survivor, and I love her just the way she is. Thank you. Be kind to one another.